Welcome to The Perfect Exposure, where every episode we bring to you home industry experts where we discuss related topics. I'm your host, Mary Coons of Mary Light Photography, and I'm here today with
Brian Sinkoff of the Sinkoff Realty Group.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I got my nicest suit, my amazing tie, and I just got my hair done. My hair did.
Perfect timing. So this is episode 8, and I actually think we talked about this podcast before we started it,
Yes.
and you were like, I'll do it. I'll be on that podcast, and so I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm so excited you're here.
Well, as you know, I have a long background in media, almost 20 years prior to getting into real estate, and so not shy in front of a camera or a mic, for that matter.
I am, but we'll do it anyway.
Yeah.
So obviously, I know who you are. A lot of people know who you are from previous career endeavors.
Yes.
I know who you are mainly from our work together in the real estate industry in the Capital Region, and but I guess I want to know more about Brian as a whole, and then we can talk a little bit more about your brokerage, your growing team.
Yeah. So, how far do you want me to go back?
As far as you want, like
right.
whatever sounds or feels right.
Yeah, so I'm not originally, my wife, Francine, and I have been here in the Capital Region since 2005, but I'm originally from Silver Spring, Maryland, which is just outside of Washington, D.C. Went to University of Maryland. Silver Spring, for those that may not be familiar with Maryland, it's a suburb of Washington, D.C., so probably maybe 5 or 6 miles outside of the city. I was actually born in D.C.
Wow.
One of the few, right?
Yeah.
And went to University of Maryland, graduated 93 with a speech communication degree. So I never thought I would end up in real estate. My life and my career always pointed to radio and television. That's something I did for a long, long time. I was so focused when I was I think 12 years old. My cousin Ross and I were driving to an Oriole game, and I was the kid when we would play sports outside in the neighborhood. We'll get to the Oriole game story in a second, but I would be announcing us playing, with, players from the era. We'd always pick teams, and, I'd be like, here's Joe Theismann throwing to Art Monk as we're playing, and I was just that guy. So my cousin, going back to the Oriole game, we're driving. I think this might have been 1984. I was 13 or 14. We're going to an Oriole. Wow, I'm really telling everyone my age.
I was like,
I don't know if that's a good thing.
It's okay.
So we're driving to the Oriole game, and he goes, my cousin Ross said, Brian, you should really become a sportscaster.
Yeah.
So from that day forward, that's always what I wanted to do. I had a pretty progressive high school. I went to John F. Kennedy High School in Silver Spring, and we had a high school radio station. So for those maybe familiar with Beverly Hills 90210, David Silver was the DJ at the high school radio station. We had that at my high school.
That's awesome.
So we had music. You had music during lunch. And I, got myself a DJ position. And then by the time I was a senior, I was like the general manager of the station. It was pretty cool. And our high school played music in between classes in the halls.
Nice.
And when the music stopped, you had a minute to get to class. Really kind of progressive.
Right.
You're talking, this
Yeah.
is the late 80s. Very
Right.
different. We played music at in the cafeteria. That was where the radio station would broadcast. And so, did that. Was really into media as even a high school student. And then I went to University of Maryland, and the first day I went there, I gravitated to the student radio station, which University of Maryland has like 40,000 students.
Wow.
And to get onto the station, even to get a DJ shift, was not easy, right? So I literally went to Maryland. I think my first day there, I marched onto the radio station across campus. And I got this is actually a really funny story. So the radio station they had sort of 2 stations, right? One was the FM, which you would quantify as the college radio station, like the alternative sort of music that they would play. Really cool. As later on in my college career, Jay-Z was in there. I mean, just like when he was just starting,
Yeah,
like
that's
just
so cool.
really cool. We had really up and coming rappers
Yeah.
and musicians would come in our studio. You know, big school, cool radio
Mm-hmm.
station. So the FM station was more of the traditional radio station. You would hear college radio, and the AM station was more of a top 40.
Mm-hmm.
Now the FM had actual wattage that went off campus. You can hear it on your radio. The AM was more of a, I guess it was called, this is getting really nerdy, but it was like a carrier current. So it was really only available in the buildings on campus, very limited. You know, you can get it in the dorms and things of that nature. So so remember, I'm doing the AM shift. Now, the first ever shift I had, I'm a freshman, right? First semester. One side of the campus to the other at Maryland was like 25 minutes. My first DJ shift was 8 to 10 p.m. Sunday nights.
Oh my gosh.
Now, here's the crazy part of the story. The student union, which every campus has a student union, which was that was really where the student radio station, the AM, was pumped in, freaking closed at 7 p.m. on Sundays.
Oh.
So I'm essentially, and I didn't care, I'm essentially doing this radio show for like nobody, right? And my buddies across campus would try to listen in their dorms, and sometimes they could get it. But I would just do really funny stuff. I mean, it was, my friends say, I think I have the tape somewhere, but they're like, Brian, you have to like find these tapes, because I was doing like Jerky Boys, punk stuff, like the Ashton Kutcher punk stuff before that even happened. I would on the air, I would call a dorm, right? They had dorm hallway phones, and I would say, this is Tom Underwood of University Facilities. There's been a water main break. We're going to have to ask you to turn off all the water in the dorm. And I would say, write notes on the bathroom. So I had like water shut down in all these dorms. Oh, it was unbelievable. Hey, statute of limitations has passed. It doesn't count. And no, it was really funny. And I ended up, my wife may or may not be watching this, but I ended up, from that, the girl I had on the phone, we ended up dating for like a month, because I met her and told her it was a prank. And then I met her for lunch. It was kind of funny.
That is funny.
But yeah, so that was that was the start of radio. And then eventually, skip ahead, senior year, I was on the high school, on the college station, and we broadcast games. It was really cool. We did football, basketball, lacrosse, my first ever crew. It was my freshman year, so second semester, and they said, Brian, it was really hard to get on the individual crews to broadcast the games. Football and basketball were really popular, right? So they said, Brian, I was just so involved, right? So energetic and enthusiastic, surprise. And they said, Brian, you can get on the lacrosse crew. You'll be on the traveling. We would go to it was cool. I've probably been to like 75 colleges with traveling in the high school radio station. Duke, North Carolina, Penn State, West Virginia, Florida State, Georgia Tech, Clemson. I mean, you name Penn State, you name it. I've been to a lot of colleges, Florida State, Miami, to broadcast games. And so, UVA as well. So we travel with, you travel and you do these games. So I didn't know anything about lacrosse.
Oops.
Second semester freshman year, but I was like, I'll do stats. I'll join the team. So I learned the sport as I went. And that's maybe a lesson for everyone, all the kids out there or anyone out there. When you're given an opportunity in any career, if you don't know what the heck you're doing, you fake it till you make it.
Exactly.
And you just nod your head and say yes. Because remember what's the Woody Allen line about just showing up? Just kind of show up. Yep. And so I did that. And then by the time I'm a senior, I was the sports director at the radio station.
Nice.
I was play-by-play for football and basketball and lacrosse. Just had a great time. And from that, I had an internship at the CBS affiliate in Baltimore, sports.
Yeah.
And then my first on-air job was in 95 at a cable station outside of D.C., the county I'm from. It was 1 million people in my county. And it was kind of similar to a local newscast, like sort of a spectrum, if you will.
Yep.
But it was just for our county, so it was very localized. Because remember, we were competing against the DC stations,
right?
The big DC stations. But we were very different. We were just the county, and I did sports there for 3 years, and then I went to stationed in West Virginia,
Mhm.
and I was at the CBS affiliate there for 2 years as a sports director. I don't even want to tell you what I made year one there.
Oh
13,500.
my
It
gosh.
was awesome.
Yeah.
Time of my life.
Back in the
Had
day.
ramen noodles
Yep.
and dollar store frozen meals. So that was
Yeah.
fun.
Oh.
It was great. And then I went to Scranton.
So you recommend starting off with the ramen.
Yeah, I was. We literally would.
can
We
only go up.
literally would go to Big Lots, and we would get
Oh.
the really bad meals.
Oh.
They were like 97 cents back then.
Yeah.
You had to just check the expiration dates. That was the key.
Oh gosh.
But yeah,
I
so-
think it's nice. It's not nice. It's actually a good thing for people to experience that
Oh
type
yeah,
of living once in their life.
it was a great look. I laugh. I was actually just talking to my niece about this. She's trying to find her way a little bit in her
Yeah.
career.
Yeah.
And I said, listen, I didn't know, I made no money in the my 20s.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't like get my mojo, my swerve on until my 40s.
Yeah.
Kind of have like a
Yeah.
clue. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can relate.
And yeah, exactly. Saying,
totally relate,
right.
yeah.
And that's okay. You kind
Yep.
of find, it sounds corny. You sort of find yourself a little bit,
Yep.
but, I was in West Virginia. I loved it. I had a great time, met a lot of cool people, had some great experiences doing television. And we covered West Virginia University. We covered Pittsburgh because we were only about an hour and a half from Pittsburgh. So it was like
Right.
the Steelers, the Penguins,
Oh, that's
the
awesome.
Pirates, a lot of Steelers football. And went from West Virginia to Scranton, Pennsylvania, home of The Office. Steamtown Mall does exist. Yes, it does. Went there and then was in Norfolk, Virginia as a weekend sports guy at the CBS affiliate there for 4 years. And then actually came here, kind of getting out of Albany, came to Albany to work at Channel 10 from 2005 to 2008, right? That's when we came here 20
Yeah.
years ago. And I was
Okay.
the sports director at Channel 10. And in 2008, January, my wife was 5 months pregnant, 4 months pregnant with Zach.
Yeah.
Who's now 16. And I lost my job
Oh
at
my gosh.
Channel 10 because the company was going bankrupt and they got rid of 19 of us in a day.
Wow.
So that was tough.
That is tough.
Yeah.
It's weird, but that's something that comes up a lot in this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
The change of careers.
Yep. It's funny that you say that because you could look at all the realtors in the capital region, and I think there's about 3,800 of us.
Yeah, there's a lot.
You could probably, I don't want to say count on one hand, but I would almost bet you less than 10% of realtors started out in real estate.
Yeah.
It's always their second or third career.
Yeah. Someone had said something about, stability appearing to come in form of that 9 to 5 grind it out kind of job.
Yep.
But then at any given moment, you could lose that job. And then where is your security? It's in yourself.
Yep. Well, it's, and I've actually watched a couple of your other
Yeah,
podcasts, and a lot of people have my same sort of story.
Yeah. It's cool.
Yeah, it's at the time it sucks.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
you learn
yeah.
from it,
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And so going back to the Channel 10 days, that was January of 2008. And then I sort of freelanced at the time for Time Warner Cable. We did Siena, Albany high school games, Union RPI hockey. And I freelanced, and then the ESPN radio affiliate, needed an afternoon. They had never had an afternoon drive radio show, sports talk radio. So I met with them and sort of pitched my idea, Sound Off with Sinkoff. Some people may or may not remember it. If you do, awesome.
That's how people tell me they know you.
Yeah.
So if that gives you any idea whether or not they remember, because I'm not from around here,
Right.
so I'm not a big sports fan. I have
My wife
sports
isn't
fan
either.
in my
Yeah.
home.
Yep.
So, I get it. I get the
Yeah.
passion for it. I get following it. But when when they see our work together, they're like, isn't that Brian? And they know.
Yep.
They remember.
Hopefully they know me from real estate now, but
Yeah.
no.
Well, now they do.
Right, right, of
if they're not
course.
buying or selling right now, and people in our industry certainly know who you are, but if
Yeah.
they're not buying and selling, a lot of people aren't paying attention to that
Exactly.
anymore.
Exactly. So, launched that show, Sound Off with Sinkoff. It was a popular show. It's amazing. You mentioned it. I mean, the show ended 14 years ago, and to this day, you know,
So how long of a run was it?
3.5 years.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, to this day, people come up to me about the show.
Yeah.
You know, and it's been off the air for over a decade, but we had great ratings. You know, we were my last ratings book, I believe I don't know if I was number one among men 25 to 54, which is like the key demographic for advertisers.
Yep.
And the company that hired me, I was there 3 years. So 2 years in, the company that hired me sold to a different company, and I kind of saw the handwriting on the wall. So they kind of let go a lot of main talent type of thing. And I got let go in September of 2011. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do now? Right? This is, I think, Brenda Mayotte, same story. She had gotten let go.
Yeah.
This was now twice in 3 years, right?
Yep.
And I said, I'm done with media. Now, I had other opportunities to do radio. Some people outside of the area contacted me. I had chances to get back into television and some media markets outside of Albany. I'm trying to think. A couple of people around here, stations, you know, were inquiring about would I want to do this anymore. And I said no. And it's funny. I had this weird intuition when the company got sold, as we, you know, I think maybe in August of 2011, about a month before I got fired, I had a weird, maybe let go, right? I don't fire. It's a harsh word. I don't care. I'm kind of looking back. Thank you for firing me.
Yeah.
Because how you like me now,
Right.
as Cool Mo D once said to the kids. You know, God, that was like sweet revenge. No, I'm kidding. But like, you know, I was like, what am I going to do? But a month prior to being let go in September of 2011, I said to myself, I had a weird, you know, inner man, weird feeling. And I told Francine, I said, Francine, I think this is not good. I think something's going to happen. And I actually spoke with a realtor at the time, and I asked him, we went to a diner, and I asked him, like, what do you think about, you know, me doing real estate? And he said, Brian, you know, it's really, you'll learn the stuff about the houses and all, but it's really a people business. A lot of people know you. You're a likable dude, and, you know, you're honest, and I think that's half the battle. And, you know, as I've always said, real estate's not a business of like buildings. It's a business of people. And so I said, I want to do real estate. And literally the day I got let go, I had enrolled in the real estate class that day.
Nice.
Like
not even a
just
minute.
didn't even blink,
Yeah.
just kept at it. And, you know, kind of never looked back.
Yeah. That's truly a sort of to paint a picture, the overall picture of Brian.
Yeah.
You just don't waste time.
No, I mean, and I had, look, I've been in several different firms.
Yeah.
In my career, you know, I think 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And I always felt like, you know, I don't have any ill will toward anywhere I've ever been because, you know, we're independent contractors, and I feel like even someone at my firm, you know, I want to make them comfortable and make them feel warm and part of the family. But, you know, I always felt like for me, you know, I was like Goldilocks and the Three Bears, and the porridge never tasted right.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I've been at some firms, and I've, you know, big firms. I call them the big box stores, from the big box stores to the independents. And I just said, you know, I've taken some of the good from those places, taken the bad, and that's when I decided I kind of wanted to do my thing. You know, at the time I was 52. Yeah, when I opened the brokerage. And
so how many years from when you started until?
So I started real estate in like 2012.
Okay.
And I opened the brokerage in July of 2023.
Wow. It feels like yesterday and longer than that at the same time.
Yeah.
Because when you and I first talked, you had the brokerage. But it must have been pretty new.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was.
because
I
it wasn't
mean,
last year. It was
no, the year
the year
before.
before that.
Yep.
Yeah, so it was the same year you started.
So yeah, I said I wanted to open my own and kind of do my own thing, and
Yeah,
took things I learned from just doing it, and then things I learned from certain brokerages, and
yeah,
kind of knew, and I tell every agent I speak with that I've tried to recruit or that it's come aboard. I said, look, I was in your shoes.
yeah,
Like, I know what it's all about. I know you want a broker that's there for you.
yeah,
You want a broker that's going to go to bat for you when the chips are down. And I want all my agents to succeed, and I tell them I want you to do better than me. Kick
yeah,
my butt. Like, I
yeah,
want to see you, reach your goals. And I really, I think one of the things that I think my agents will say about me is I'm just like, I say what I mean.
yeah,
I do what I say.
for sure.
I am going to be an honest guy. I'm going to tell it like it is, and I'm just going to be somebody that's going to be in your corner cheering for you. And I think a lot of times, certain brokerages, either because they're too big or maybe the person running it may not be. Everyone has strengths and weaknesses. But I created a radio show from scratch and turned it into a number
Yeah.
one show in the capital region. And I feel like with the brokerage,
It's
it's been
similar.
a slow grow.
Yeah, but
It's
not.
growing.
It's
No,
not slow, Brian.
yeah,
I got
no.
news for you. I'm watching I might feel like it, but watching from the outside, we were just talking about this before we started, but every time, like I'm scrolling Facebook all the time, but I'll scroll through and like it feels like every week or month, at least a month, I'm seeing so and so just join the team.
Yep.
And I'm like, wait a second, didn't he just start this brokerage like a year and a half ago? And so I get it, because you can grow really fast, but it can also feel really slow at the same time, because if you have certain ambitions, but you
Yep.
also have a lot of I don't know, personality traits where you want things to go right, and you're just always chugging along, and so I could see why it could sometimes feel slow, but
Yeah,
and you're really developing your people,
absolutely.
and that takes time. But it's also awesome, because like you definitely learned a lot from your previous experiences on how to do it right with your team.
Yeah. When I started, like, kind of funny, and you learn as you have your
Yeah.
own business, and you learn from your mistakes.
Yes.
And you think you have the greatest ideas when you open the
Ugh.
doors, and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I did X, Y, and Z, right?
Or I did it like that.
Right. So really started the brokerage, technically by letter of the law, opened June 1st.
Yeah.
But my building I'm in Del Mar, in the heart of Del Mar in Main Square. Shout out chat, the W's in the chat for Main Square. So the kids say that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So people are laughing over here.
That was your goal.
Yeah, that was my goal. Let's make the room laugh. So, when I opened, July 1 of 2023, I launched. And, people knew me, Brian
Yeah.
Sinkoff, from a realtor, but they didn't know me as a broker. They didn't know what kind of quote unquote boss I would be. They didn't know like anything about me, and, I'd interviewed a lot of people that I knew that I done deals with, transactions with. And, you do this enough, you kind of know, you kind of get to know everybody.
Right.
And I just don't think I had like I look back at some of the agents I brought in the beginning to interview, and I'm like, no, they weren't coming to me. I look back, I was like, I didn't have any foundation. I didn't have, there was tumbleweed blowing through my office. It was it was empty. You know what I mean? Like, the wild, like
I
the
think
Wild
we all
Wild West
we all
music was
start off
playing.
like that.
There was like dust everywhere,
Yeah.
and, it was just, it just wasn't a place where agents in the beginning were going to come.
Right.
And, but you're
If you build it, they will come.
right, and then you're trying to work at it, and then I'm trying to just do real estate,
Yeah.
and trying to get that going, and
Yeah.
then as you run a business, you have so much things you don't realize, from like your website to,
Taxes,
your back end
compliance,
systems, right? And
yeah.
your database and your insurance and it's just there's so much
It's
stuff.
stressing me out.
Yeah, there's just so much stuff and you
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
And then I didn't get my first agent till February.
I still think
February
that's
1st.
pretty
So
quick.
so a year ago was
Yeah.
my first agent, Young
Yeah.
Jin. Young Jin Chun.
She's awesome.
She was great.
Yeah. She's
She's
relocated.
now in Louisville. Her
Yeah.
husband got a great job running the neuroscience department
That's
at
incredible.
Louisville.
That's amazing.
So yeah, she
Yeah.
was my first agent, and I'll
Yeah.
forever be indebted to her.
Oh, she was great.
So-
I loved working with her.
Yeah,
When I saw that she was relocating, I was like, "Oh, we
Yeah.
just got started. Oh no."
So she was great.
Yeah.
So always be indebted that she was the 1st,
Mhm.
and and so she relocated, and then once she told me in like the fall, not that long ago, a few
Mhm.
months ago, she was relocating. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have like no agents.
Oh.
So I don't know what happened, if there was someone lit a match under my tuchus or what, but I started kind of like really getting out there and recruiting.
Yeah.
And I think I again, mistakes, and people are watching this. Like, I started making my recruiting maybe a little more organic,
Yeah.
as opposed to more, I don't know, salesy is not the right
yeah.
term, but I
Or
think
yeah,
just
you weren't afraid of the tumbleweeds
the
anymore.
the cold calling in
Yeah.
the beginning was hard, but I was just look. I had no agent. I was not going to have any agents, so it wasn't desperation time, because the operation would run if I didn't have any agents. Right. I did it for a year and a half without anyone really, and so so I just started reaching out to people, and literally got Shane Quant
Yep.
in September, and then I got Tanner Reed, who we
Mhm.
work out at the gym together, and I've known her for a while. I got her, and then Tina Berlin,
Yep.
who I just reached out to, and she's awesome. I've
Yeah.
known Tina. So this is a funny story. You talk about full circle.
Yeah, I love those stories. I love full.
So all right, so I'm doing the radio show.
Yeah.
Okay, I live in Slingerlands, right?
Mhm.
Offices in Delmore. So I'm doing the radio show. You're talking 08, 09, 10, right? From 08 to
Mhm.
2011. So I would every day, we would get the Times Union newspaper, right? And then every day I would go into Price Chopper at the time, not Market 32, and I would get like the Daily News and the New York Post. I'm old, nerdy, and I like
Mhm.
reading a newspaper
Yeah.
still. I love that. I'm still a newspaper guy. And I would always get the New York Post and the Daily News. It would help with show prep.
Mhm.
And I would go to Starbucks sometimes, a little
Mm.
pricey coffee. But
Mhm.
Tina Berlin was a barista at
No
the
way.
Starbucks.
Oh my gosh.
So I first met Tina, and I didn't, I was very casual doing the radio, jeans
Yeah.
or khakis and, button downs. But so we just kind of became friends, back then. And then shortly after, or, maybe a decade later, she ended up becoming a realtor. But see, when you're not like a broker, other people became realtors that you may have remembered in your previous, and you didn't really think anything of it.
Right,
because
right.
it's like, well, I'm not,
You're
she's
not-
doing her own thing
Yeah,
at a
you're not
different firm.
recruiting.
Right.
Yeah.
So
You're just
now
colleagues. Yeah.
so now I saw her and I was like, wait, I got tumbleweed.
Yeah.
Let me, and then she decided to come. And then, so I was like my first 3 after
Yeah.
Youngjin pretty quick.
Yeah.
And then Melissa Fern.
Yep.
Awesome. Love Melissa. Love all my agents. I mean, that's
Mm-hmm.
the thing I really love. They're,
People.
good people. And I think that's one of the things that I really tried to develop with my team is,
Mhm.
I think you could say a lot of things about me, right? But I think you could say professionalism, integrity,
Mhm.
communication are like my 3 biggest.
yeah.
In terms of those are my values in
Yeah.
my company.
For sure.
And I think that's the type of people I wanted in my brokerage. Just very very into integrity and communication and values,
Mhm.
and really into that. And I tell my agents all the time, I'm very grateful for them.
Yeah.
And I will be honest with you, in my 12 years of real estate, I don't know that was said to me very much as an
Oh,
agent.
yeah.
And it's not like I need, it's not
Yeah.
like I need that. I'm a 53-year-old
but
man.
if it's
But sometimes you got to water the
yeah.
flower a little bit.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. When you're building a team like that and you
Yeah,
want like some kind of, I mean, everybody's, on their own in
Yep.
in essence, but you are a team,
Yep.
and when you're growing one, those core values, they really do carry.
Yep.
They do
And-
carry.
And I have that in when you get onboarded, it's one of the
Mhm.
things you're signing,
Yeah.
we're not gonna,
Integrity.
it's really, this is what I preach. And so,
Yeah.
so then I got Melissa, then I got Kelly Canuet, who, her and I had done some deals together in the past.
Mhm.
She was great. And then Tina's son, Joseph,
I saw that.
the
I was
youngest
like, what's the relation?
member of the
That's
team.
so cool.
That's her son.
He's a new agent?
He's 18,
That's so cool.
sharp as a whip.
I love that.
He's got clients. He's showing houses already.
I love that for him, and I love that for you.
Yeah,
I think it's
great.
I love that too for our team, is working with people at all stages in
Yes.
their career.
And I gave him a shot, and
yeah,
I promote him on social media,
Yeah.
and it's great. And then my most recent hire was Melissa Schufelt, who actually, she's lives up north, but her and I were in the brokerage class together
that's funny.
when I got my broker
Yeah,
license.
yeah.
And this is another funny story. At least I think it's funny. It may be, not funny, but
Yeah.
it's anecdotal at the
Yeah,
very
yeah,
least.
yeah.
So we were in the brokerage class. This was probably 2021 or 22,
Okay.
maybe 2022. And I took the class, and I just wanted it to have like an extra credential. I never thought I was going to open a brokerage when I took that class.
Really?
Never.
That wasn't even on your bucket list as a
and
realtor.
Melissa and I, the other day, we talked, and I said, Melissa, do you remember in the class, I was the only one in the class that didn't want to open their own brokerage?
Yeah.
And I said I didn't want the responsibility, and I was happy where I was. And I think I'm only one of two that actually did
it. Yeah. I'm not surprised though, Brian.
Well, the teacher at the time, she was really, she said to me after the class that day, she goes, I can't believe you would never want to open your own brokerage.
Yeah.
She's like, of all the people here, it'd
Yeah.
be you that I would think would do it. And I was like, no.
I probably
don't-
would have said the same
Yeah,
thing.
and I didn't want to, but
well,
I think things changed.
yeah, time.
Time.
Yeah, time
And
and
you get to a certain age and you're like, if I
Yeah.
don't do it now, when am I going to do it?
right.
You know?
Do you have any are you happy now? Do you feel fulfilled at this point in your career juncture? Be honest. Or is there more?
Well, there's always more. And
Yeah.
I don't, it's probably, I should, I mean, I set goals. We did that in December, all my agents,
Yeah.
we do a lot of goals, but I do it a little differently. I don't
Yeah.
just do like, what's your business goal?
Right. Everything changes too.
Right.
Yeah.
And my goal for this year, 2025, was to have 8 agents. And I have, as of February 3rd, which we won't say anything yet, there is another one coming on board. So I will have, I'll have 8 agents plus me. So I'll have 9 people.
Total.
Yeah. So, and again, a year ago, I had no one.
And that was your goal for 2025.
Was 8.
And we're talking February.
Right, because
2025.
since I set my goals,
Yeah.
I think I've gotten 4 agents.
Yeah.
Like we did goals in December, and since mid-December, I've gotten 4 agents between now and
Yeah.
then and now. But as far as my goals, am I happy? I don't think I never want to rest on my laurels.
Yeah, me neither.
I don't
yeah.
I've always been let's go for it, let's do it. How big I want the brokerage to grow, I have not really.
You don't really know.
I don't want to turn into I don't want it to turn into a beehive of agents.
Yeah.
But the right.
But remember what you said in your broker's class.
What's that?
You don't want to open a brokerage.
Right.
So now I'm thinking, oh boy.
Well,
Here we go.
I think you get too big and then
Yeah.
you lose
Maybe not
The
though.
Brian Sinkoff factor of
But
I like to be connected to all my
yeah,
agents. I check in with them,
yeah.
at least
But you're
a couple times a
you
week.
could also be an incredible coach. Like, and I'm sure you are to your agents now.
Hmm.
But and things change when when you get your 15th agent this year, right? You never know what your mindset's gonna
Hmm.
change to.
I'm buying you
And
Dunkin' Donuts if I get 15 in
okay,
2025.
do you hear that? Write it down.
Let's
Put it
mark
on
it
the
down.
calendar.
Mark it down. All right. All
We'll
right. He
put
is.
it
He mark it down. I might.
December
You and your
31st. If
you and your
Brian
staff.
Sinkoff
Yep. You and your staff will have
Dunkin'
Dunkin' Donuts
Donuts.
on me. I'll
Connor
hand
is all
deliver
about
it.
that. He
Yes,
loves
I will
Dunkin'
hand
Donuts.
deliver DD or another coffee place of
Yeah.
your choosing
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
your
we'll see.
office.
I mean, I don't think it's out of the
Well-
but it also I love that you're not like capping yourself necessarily, but you're also not none of this is coming from a place of greed. Because
No.
if it was, it wouldn't grow and it wouldn't be organically. You're
Correct.
choosing people that fit your overall values, your core values, and they're choosing you for that same reason.
And it's funny you say that. It's kind of grown organically because the last few agents I've gotten, it really wasn't. It was people reaching out to me,
Yeah.
and that didn't happen when I had no one,
Yeah.
right? Because
yeah.
think about this, right? It's the restaurant. If the restaurant has 3 people in it,
Yeah.
no one's going to
Yeah.
eat.
Yeah.
If there's a line out the door,
Everyone wants
it's
to go.
trendy. And
Yeah.
I always used to make it on on Sound Off with Sinkoff.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go throwback on this one. I used to say the difference between the bar at TGI Fridays and a trendy Manhattan nightclub was access.
Yeah.
Right? At the end of the
Yeah.
day, the environment is different, but
Yep.
at the end of the day, they're still serving alcohol. They're still
Yeah.
having the atmosphere. But everyone got into the TGI Fridays bar. You walked in. But the trendy Manhattan nightclub, you needed to wait in a line and know somebody.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
it was kind of like
a little bit of
it's
exclusivity there.
exclusivity.
Yeah.
So, that's just the key there.
Yeah. I think that's great. I think it's awesome that I don't know, like to me anything that grows organically and that where it's like the law of attraction where you're bringing on the right people and then like it's always risky like when a business grows a little too fast but also you're putting your faith into it a little bit like I do the same thing like when I meet someone who I think would be a good fit whether or not like we're there yet budget wise I'm like but we will be with this person.
Yep.
This person's going to bring the business in this realm like when we bring on a new photographer they might not be bringing on like 30 clients or something but they're going to bring them and so like that's eventual not like right away.
Right.
They'll bring them over time and I think that it's cool that you're thinking of this almost intuitively. Am I right? Like a lot of it's strategic as far as like how you're going to grow the business, but then the people, it's get them, but then
I think now I'm at the point, and this is just me thinking out loud here. I'm at the point where, a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
My mindset was different.
Yeah.
I was like Pac-Man, just gobble up anything that was in
Yeah.
front of me.
Yeah.
And now I'm maybe a little more selective.
Yeah.
And people may not be the right fit. If I have an appointment with someone and they decide to cancel, guess what?
Yeah.
Brian is not chasing
Yeah.
them ever
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
You've already showed me your cards.
Yeah.
You're not.
Unless it's
You know
like
what?
real extreme
Yeah, you know what?
circumstances.
I learned like a few years ago, and this took me a long time, and if there's any advice I could ever give someone about their life, and I'm not giving anyone a TED Talk here, but I'm saying I realized, and it took me a long time to realize I am not for everyone,
Yeah.
okay? And I'm okay with that,
Yeah.
but that's a hard pill to swallow when you're, especially in a sales business,
Yeah.
rejection. We deal with rejection all the time, but even in a brokerage, I'm not for everyone. And I'm okay with that. If you don't want to be, affiliated with my firm or even use me to buy or sell a house, that's okay because I go next. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm next.
Yeah.
But I'm not for everyone. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of times, look, a lot of times people talk about depression and anxiety, and look, you can look at what a lot of anxiety and depression is from. It's from being lonely and rejection, right? And you can say to yourself, Brian, you're not for everyone. I'm kind of a tell it like it is guy. I'm energetic. I'm enthusiastic. If you want to run through a wall for me, I'm going to run through a wall for you. Some people may not like that, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Some people may not like what my brokerage is offering and like somewhere else, and that's okay too. I tell every agent that interviews with me, Mary, I say, you have to be comfortable with your decision. And I tell this to sellers and buyers, you want to use me to sell your house, I'll get you, I'll know my stats are there. We go through the stats if you want, but you have to be comfortable with me or anyone you choose. And I tell any agent that comes to my brokerage, they come in and I go, if this doesn't feel right for you, that's okay.
Yeah.
It's got to feel right for you. And if my brokerage doesn't feel right for you, there's a lot of good brokerages out there.
Right.
And I think that's really one of the things that has taken me a long time. I'm not, you're not for everyone. And I think that has been like a real good lesson, especially when I was struggling. And I think the struggle of building a brokerage, when you get to a point where I don't want to say I'm successful, but I definitely have grown. I feel like that struggle, right? The struggle was real, but I feel like that struggle makes you appreciate so much when you get to a point,
Yep. I actually talked about that recently. It's perception, there's some people who would like to chase the rainbow or, like the gold is the primary goal, like something really big and shiny and will end all our problems.
Right.
But no. And to me, like if we win the lottery, that's just like Miracle Grow for character flaws. Like we're just going to suddenly be the biggest jerks that we can be. Right. Or we, that's not everybody. It's an overgeneralization, but I feel like I've been in a bad place before in my life, and everything that I encounter that is a plus from that, I'm so grateful for, and that brings in more abundance. Like the more grateful you are for things, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's more of a tangible, piece of abundance. It's more of like in here, in my soul, in my heart, in my brain. And then that perpetuates more positive actions that cause more positive reactions.
Right.
And like, not that we should be struggling all the time, but it's also lessons,
And it's also a matter of appreciating what you have.
Yeah, gratitude.
Gratitude is huge. Great Beastie Boys song as well. W Beastie Boys in the chat. Saw them over 50 times in concert.
Oh my gosh, over 50 times.
I got a problem.
Wow.
Yeah, it was awesome. From festivals to Bed and Freedom, Lollapalooza. Saw actually a lot. My son's a huge. My son Zach. What's up, Zach?
Hey, Zach.
Zach is a huge Green Day fan, and we saw them in concert this summer at Fenway Park this past summer.
Oh, Boston.
And I saw Beastie Boys Lollapalooza in '94 and Green Day. This is crazy.
Wow.
This is May of '94. Green Day. You know how Lollapalooza, there's like 15 acts. They opened the show at noon.
No way.
Yeah, played for like 15 minutes.
Wow.
Green Day. Now doing stadium tours.
Yeah.
But
that's cool.
Going back to your gratitude and appreciating what you have. And as I said before, there's not once a week, I will literally thank my agents individually and together on a group text we have. And just, I thank them for joining me.
Yeah.
I really, I'm not going to ever lose that.
Yeah.
I'm never going to lose the fact that an agent put their trust in me.
Yeah.
With their work, with their life, their work life, and chose me. That is never going to be lost on me. And I really have gratitude and appreciation. And my goal, and I try to preach this to my agents and even to my son, is, treat others the way you want to be treated.
Yeah.
I think that is like my number one
The
thing.
golden rule.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just a, even in real estate,
Mhm.
when you're in real estate and you're in a transaction, it's like, all right, if I'm the buyer and this is coming up and this is, like how would I feel in that situation?
Right.
How would I want to be treated? And I want to just
Empathy.
be honest
Yeah.
and empathy and putting
Yep.
yourself in their shoes. And to be honest with you, sometimes when you're representing the buyer and the buyer is maybe being a little unrealistic,
Yeah.
sometimes you have to sort of flip the script
Yeah.
and go, all right, well, now you're the seller. How would you feel if they asked for your canoe, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and you want,
Yeah.
you wanted all of, you wanted their riding lawnmower, which they just bought, which costs, it's $2,000. You
Right.
probably wouldn't be very happy, right?
Right.
So you kind of have to do that sort of empathy on
Yeah.
both ends. And
Yeah. Someone else put it as leading with empathy.
yeah,
I love that.
it's huge.
I love that. It's some people it comes to them naturally. Some people have to practice it,
Mm-hmm.
and that's okay. It's just who you are or where you came from.
Yep.
But like, if you can have that on the forefront of your mind, you can go far with as long as you have boundaries. Personal and
Mm-hmm.
professional boundaries. You're not getting walked on all the time because
Right.
you're a super empathetic person. And that happens.
Yeah, you
but
have to have
be
empathy.
careful.
Yeah, empathy within reason.
Yeah.
If it gets out of hand on either side, sometimes
Yeah.
you have to reel your client in or
Yeah.
explain to them, hey, this is what they're asking for. It's not unrealistic.
Yeah.
Or sometimes no, what they're asking for is unrealistic. We're
Yeah.
gonna hold firm and
Yeah.
stay the course here. But
Do you
yeah,
do you have like a favorite part of your career now, or maybe something that ties in with where you started? Like,
it's really like my Sinkoff Realty Group has grown so much in the last 4 months. And I actually just created a graphic. That's the one good thing I do on a side note.
yeah, stats.
No, I do all social media for all my
Oh,
agents. I have
oh.
templates.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I like everything looking uniform.
Yeah, I
Think
like
about
it
it
too.
like
I like it too
a
because
brand.
no, when I look at Facebook, I know it's about Brian Sinkoff. I know
Right,
it's about his
the
team.
Sinkoff Realty
Yeah,
Group, right?
yeah.
It's about branding. Target doesn't have 17 different logos
Yep.
with 17 different, and that's I think sometimes the problem. It's kind of the wild, wild west
Yeah.
in social media in terms
Yeah.
of marketing agents.
Too many of this person and that person.
Right, and creating,
So many
everyone's
flavors.
creating their
Yeah.
own thing, and it's like, and my agents
Yeah.
love that. I think that's one of the things that the agents really like is, I said, hey, do your own social media thing, but when it comes to listings and just solds and testimonials, it's going to come from me, and it's going to
Yeah.
be a brand, and you're going
Yeah.
to love it because it's going to be branded.
Yeah, so professional.
yeah,
I think
and
it looks
it's-
so polished.
Thank you.
too.
No,
Yeah.
it's taken a lot, and I spend a lot of time on it.
Yeah.
I really like.
That's why when we were doing your videos, you were like, that graphic you did,
Yeah.
it looks so sharp because I was like, I'm going to take the color from the logo.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the color from his name or whatever, and then make it all the same
Yep.
every time.
Yeah.
It makes it easier for us too on the branding aspect of things.
Absolutely.
Keep the
Well, you kind of know,
congruency.
what
Yeah.
I'm all about. Yeah,
Yeah.
so you talk about the branding and the marketing and the social media, and you just, I think that's such a key thing
It
is having that. But going back to what I was saying was, the firm, it's kind of been a whirlwind for me.
It's a lot fast.
Because I didn't really, I created, and it will be on social media soon. I created a sort of meet the team graphic, and it's got every agent. And after February 3rd, it'll be additional agents. So 7 agents with me is 8. And then after February 3rd, it's going to be 8 agents with me is 9. And I'm looking at that going, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
where the heck did this come
It
from?
is crazy. It's pretty crazy.
I mean, it's great. I don't want it to end, and I'm just
Oh.
thankful.
So this is like probably one of your favorite moments so far. The last few months of massive growth.
Look, when you start building it, you don't, not you, or just in general, when you're building a business, you don't
Yeah.
know what the heck. I didn't know what the heck I was doing.
No,
I knew
didn't
real
either.
estate,
Yeah, me too.
but I didn't know like what anyone wanted. And now it's like, oh my God, I got to order paper, or, I'm out
Yeah.
of paper clips, or, I need business card holders for the team to put in there because my firm grew. Where do I get those? Oh, Staples didn't have them. What am I going to do? So you're thinking of all these crazy things,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like when you're building a business, you're kind of winging it. And everybody told me the first year is going to be the toughest.
Mm-hmm.
But like the last 4 months have been tough because I feel like I thought, okay, I'll be honest with you, I thought it was going to happen quick.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, I'd open and people would just go, I'm going to join Sinkoff. And it was like a kind of a slap in the face when that wasn't the case. And yeah, that was a little bit of dose of reality.
Yeah.
But that was good. It was good for me because
Yeah.
it kind of, I don't want to say, it wasn't like I was arrogant, but it didn't, humble me is maybe a bad word, but my expectations got reset.
Yeah.
And
A reset. That's not a bad thing. I mean,
It
it's bad.
was-
It's a terrible feeling, but
Oh, it
a
was,
reset is good.
look, my wife, when I first started and it was, 8 months, I'm in the office alone, I would be like, Francine. And I wasn't worried, like, the overhead was covered. So it wasn't like
Yeah.
if I don't get an agent, I'm folding up shop. That was never even an
Yeah.
option. I would continue to go on even if
Yeah.
I had just me. But I was like, Francine, I'm in this office. I got all this awesome space. I have
Yeah.
this great conference room, this big bullpen office in the back, my bathroom, my own office, a big
Yeah.
lobby. I'm like, and I'm by myself. You know what I
I
mean? It
did
was
the
like
same
boiler
thing.
room. You know what I mean? I was like, this thing is going to fold shop and be done in a week. But
It didn't.
no,
Not at
It's
all.
been great. And, props to, again, my agents and my
Mm-hmm.
clients and my friends and my family that have all stuck by me. And like I said, I think you just try to do the right thing.
Yeah.
You have empathy for people.
Yep.
You treat others as you want to be treated. You're honest, humble. I don't have visions of, having $1 million house and a $700,000 car. That's just not me. It never has been. My goal, I have great splits. No secret. My company has good splits.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not looking, I want agents to be successful and happy because I realized this is what I like, my secret sauce that I'm saying on this podcast. If you treat your agents right,
Mm-hmm.
you pay them well,
Mm-hmm.
and you're honest and you're always there for them, guess what? They don't want to leave.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the problem in real estate. We're
Yeah.
independent contractors. It's sometimes the wild, wild west because agents feel like they're not treated right. They're not getting paid enough.
And they get
They're
promises.
getting ignored. They're getting
Yeah.
promises that can't
Yeah.
be kept.
Yeah.
I literally lay everything out for every agent the day they walk in, and I say, this is the way it is. It's all in writing. There's no secrets. I have like scenarios. If X, Y, and Z happens, this is what you get paid.
Right.
If you leave, this is what happens.
Yeah. Black and white.
I can't
Yeah.
tell you how many times I've recruited an agent, and they have said to me, Brian, I can't leave now. Why? Well, I got 4 pendings, and I don't know
Yeah.
what's going to happen with the money when I leave. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Oh, I'll get my split, or does my split get reduced? Or, and I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
And again,
It's cutthroat.
it's just
yeah.
it's just not the way I wanted
Yeah.
to be. It's just not me,
That's awesome. I think your core values are definitely going to carry you through. And
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what happens in this current year. And then I think we should have you back on the show like next January.
Yes.
See where you're at.
Yep.
And what happened in 2025. No pressure. no
No
pressure at
I
all.
mean, and
But I'll be going along the ride with you along
Yes,
the way. We're kind of in a
yes.
similar boat here.
yeah,
so-
and you have grown, and
Yeah.
we love, I love your videos and your
Mm-hmm.
pictures. They're great, and they really make an indelible mark with,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not just saying this, but they make an indelible mark with my clients because when I
Yeah.
go on a listing presentation, I just whip out my my YouTube and I
Yeah.
say, this is one of the houses I sold. Look at this
Yeah.
video. And they're like, oh my God.
I love that. Is it the first one we did? Is that
No,
one?
it's probably either Pinkster or
Yeah.
Duff Banbury.
Duff Banbury?
Yeah.
That's a good one.
But
yeah.
I will tell you this. This is kind of a funny thing, and
We
mean,
can
it's-
end on
we can,
this. Yeah.
we can take
can
phone
talk all
calls.
day,
We can
yeah.
also take phone calls if you'd like. Remember, I did a 4-hour show,
Yeah.
5 days
Yeah.
a week. So one thing I realized when I started in real estate, remember this is 2012, I realized, back then I didn't do enough deals. I didn't make enough money to pay a photographer, right? And most new agents are in that same boat.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that. You gotta
You gotta do what you gotta
just
do.
do what you gotta
Yeah.
do to get to that point, right? Because,
You got to pay your bills.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a luxury to be able to afford, having a service that
Yeah.
you can, don't have to worry about photos and things. But I knew back then how important video and photography was.
Yeah.
So I would take all my own photos, right, with my iPhone. And, they were not, even I look back now, I was like, it's not
bad.
nearly what you do. But
Yeah.
what I did do, and this is like one of my things that helped me get business when I was new, because I didn't have a lot of experience, but I had such a, I was television background. I know how to film and I know how to edit and all that stuff. And I used to do YouTube videos for all my listings that I would film myself.
Yeah.
Now, they were a lot, it was different back then. They were a lot longer
But it was
than
like before we were doing it regularly.
2012.
Yeah, that's like
2013.
unprecedented marketing.
And I would like show people these videos.
Yeah.
And I remember doing a listing, doing a video for she was selling her house was like $85,000.
Oh my gosh.
And I did her video, and it it was actually a competitive listing.
2012. I'm trying to think about the market back then.
It was not horrible, but
probably average.
I was doing videos back then.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And I would do them for every single listing.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of work, and it was a lot because I was doing everything else, and photos and video, but I knew the importance, and this is what I'm bringing back to you. I knew the importance of the visual media of selling a home, because 98% of buyers start their search on the internet, and you got to capture them with those photos.
First, the front of the house shot
Yep.
is the first showing of the home.
Two things. You have to grab a buyer within 5 photos or they're done.
Yeah.
5 photos, done. Okay? And here's the crazy thing. We often talk about you're at a house for a very short time and you're deciding if you want to live there, right?
Yeah, so quick.
But here's the thing. It's not as complicated and crazy as it sounds.
Yeah.
Because if a house is yours pretty quickly. Right?
Yeah, I think
obviously we don't know the inspection issues.
Right.
That's another issue. But I'm saying if the house feels like a home, if it feels warm and cozy,
And
it's
it
like
checks
dating.
a number
It's
of
like
boxes.
dating.
Yeah.
I tell every client it's like dating. Did you feel warm and fuzzy when you were at dinner with your person you're dating?
Yeah.
No, I felt weird. It's not the house for
yeah.
you. I mean, I tell my clients
Date
all
the
the
house,
time.
yeah.
Do you feel like this is home? No, we're out of here.
Yeah.
Like it's not,
Yeah.
and but my point is your first 5 photos when you're looking on the internet, if it's a good house that you even want to see it, and then when you walk in a home, like I've read the numbers, 30 seconds you'll know if you want to buy a home.
Wow.
30 seconds.
That's a crazy stat.
And that's why I tell all my sellers, you got to have your home spotless.
Yeah.
And here's
Oh
the
my
other
gosh.
thing. Well, you know.
Yes, I do.
Here's the other thing. This is a trick that I have learned very quickly. If the sellers of a home enter through like a breezeway or a garage and they never use their front door,
Oh, yeah.
we never have that as a first point of entry
Yeah.
when the house hits the market. We always use the front door.
Yeah.
Because the front door is the most attractive part when
Yeah.
you walk into a home.
Yep.
I don't want someone walking in your weird breezeway. You know what I
Where
mean?
the
Your
shoes-
mud room.
The shoes are all sitting out,
your mud
sticking it up.
room, and then the
Yeah.
kitchen, and they walk
Yeah.
by a bathroom. No, let them walk in that living room. Let them
Yeah.
walk in that dining room. Let them see the hardwood floors.
Yeah.
And then I always tell people, when you're selling a home, let's make it decluttered inside. If you got to put everything in the garage, like boxes, do that, because by the time they get to your garage, they've already decided if they want to buy it.
Yeah. And
Nobody.
the garage is the excusable place to have your stuff.
Exactly.
in it.
Nobody, unless
In
you're selling a
basements.
house with 6-car garage.
Yeah.
Nobody's
With a lift.
buying or not buying a house
Yeah.
because what your garage looks like.
Yeah.
They're just not.
It's so true.
And the same with an unfinished basement. Put your boxes down there. Get that crap out of the house.
Yep.
Put it in the basement, because by the time they're in your basement, they already know if they want to buy it. Remember, 30 seconds they want to buy your house.
30 seconds.
Yep.
I'm going to have to have like a meeting with my team about that. 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
That's pretty